In this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. Josuke and Okuyas get rich, bitch! So after last week's incredibly startling episode with the introductions of ghosts and some killer who's obsessed with cutting off people's hands, you'd think we'd get a continuation of that story. Nope. In this week's episode, we're introduced to a brand new stand user by the name of Shigechi, who is this weird, bulldog-looking human who is small, short, has no hair, and seemingly has spikes coming out of the top of his head. He's also very young, very naive, and a little bit manipulative, and he also has a really cool stand power, which is known as Harvest. Very similar to what we saw from Okuyas' brother, his stand takes the form of these tiny little creatures, hundreds, thousands of them even, which almost look like these weird little golden bugs. And what he's doing is he's sending his stand around town to go under vending machines and look in ditches and garbage cans so that he can find any money that he can get. Coins, dollar bills, coupons, whatever he can get that can make him some money. And Josuke and Okuyas want to get in on this adventure. You see, at the beginning of the episode, they really think that this is going to be an enemy stand. Then they realize it's basically just this weird little kid who actually has a stand that's very useful in terms of making money. And Josuke needs some damn money because Joseph Joestar blew all of his on that damn baby. Shigechi is more than happy to help out Josuke and Okuyas, considering that he doesn't really have any friends, and now that he met people that actually have stand powers just like him, he's immediately attracted to these guys. So they cook up this crazy plan where they're going to send the Harvest stand all over town looking for coupons and these vouchers, which they'll be able to trade in for money. And thanks to their efforts, they end up getting a ton of it, and they decide that they're going to share more than half of it with Shigechi, who feels like since he did most of the work, he should get most of the money. And Josuke and Okuyas are going to sort of count their losses because they know they can't let this thing slide. They can't let this thing go. They need this guy to make them some money. However, at the very end of the episode, Okuyas actually ends up finding this lottery card, which actually ends up being a winner, and both him and Josuke are about to become extremely rich. However, Shigechi is not going to let this one go. He wants that money, and the episode ends with him getting all malicious and possibly getting ready to attack his brand new friends. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Diamond is Unbreakable? What a freaking weird episode. This series does whatever it wants. And you know what? I really do love it for that. You know, I can never predict what's going to happen in an episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and that's one of my favorite things about the series. While I am slightly disappointed that we're not getting back to the storyline of Raimi the Ghost Girl and Kira the Killer, I did like this episode a lot. Not to mention there were a few other little small scenes of Koichi walking around town trying to figure out what the hell is actually going on with that Raimi girl, and also still being stalked by Yukako, who apparently got her black hair back. Koichi, predictably, of course, is freaked out by this and decides to get the hell out of Dodge. Can you blame him? Yukako is kind of a crazy bitch. However, the real star of this episode has to be the brand new character of Shigechi, who is just so weird, but so funny all at the same time. A lot of that having to do with his personality and his overall looks. The fact that he's a lot younger than the other characters, even though despite the fact that he looks like a really short, decrepit, creepy old man with spikes coming out of his head, he's really strange, but I like his stand powers. I love the design of them. They look really funny. It almost kind of looks like something that would be like a Pokemon or a Digimon. That's just the way I feel about it when I actually see it. But I like the fact that they collect coins, they stick them in their heads and everything. They just have a very distinct look about them. And this episode was just funny, really. Just seeing the reactions from Josuke and Okuyas and their brand new friend getting all excited over the prospect of making all of this dough. Just something about it is really infectious. And that's one of the best things, I think, about the fourth part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. That these characters are really fun to be around. Like, they seem like characters that I would want to hang out with. Josuke and Okuyas in particular, they're just really funny, and they're so expressive, almost more so than some of the other characters we've seen from the previous iterations of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, especially Josuke, who is completely different from Jotaro. But then again, every single JoJo from the series has been completely different, and I absolutely love that. They could have all just been the same standard Shonen Jump main character, I'm the chosen one badass. But no, they have their own special quirks and personalities, and that's what makes them so awesome and engrossing. And that's exactly what this episode was. An engrossing, funny as hell, ridiculous episode, which in the grand scheme of things might not even pay off all that much. But you know what? I got a lot of entertainment value out of this episode. And that's exactly why I'm going to drop a 4 out of 5 on this week's episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You definitely need to check this one out. But if any of you did watch this week's episode, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Did you have a favorite scene from this episode? If you won the lottery, what would you do with all of that money? And what do you want to see from the rest of Diamond is Unbreakable? You guys are awesome! Thank you for watching this review. I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and all that jazz. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby!